We're back. We are so back. This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, the 15th of July, 2025. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm joined by the Belfast Giants statistician, Mr. David McGempsey, and the local ice hockey legend that is Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour or so, we'll bring you the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the bit of the off season and a whole lot more besides. We're live and on demand on YouTube, X, Facebook, and you listen to us for all the really good podcast providers. If you're watching live on any of the platforms, as you can see, you can get involved with comments in the chat box. We're always watching. You may see your comments on screen on this week's show. There's a lot to catch up on from the last couple of months. We'll have a bit of a chat about some of the new names, some of the old names, and maybe even share a new name from the roster of the Belfast Giants. We'll look back on the weekend that took place in June. A lot of fun that was. And there's a lot of other bits and pieces to throw in. And we might have a few people popping by to say hello and then maybe to say goodbye. Mr. McGempsey, how's summer?
You know, Paddy, this is my favorite podcast. The one where we get to say it might be July, but it's all March. It's been a good summer. I fell over at least once, but I got back up again, so it's all good.
And never going to keep you down. How are you, Mr. Kitchen? Sis?
Yeah. Busy. I mean, the boys start to arrive in here now, and Mike, can you hear me okay?
Seems to be a bit of a delay in your line, mate. Don't know whether are you back now? Can you hear us?
Technical issues. That's just me full time, mate. It's
definitely you.
For the delay all the time. Knock yourself out. I'll
reboot.
You be better. Right. Well, listen. Like I say, we've got a few things to cover in the next few while. Huh?
No, it's not me. It's you. It's not you. It's me. I can't remember which way around.
Let's do a bit of rebooting. Let's start with talking about that weekend in June, mate. The hospice hockey game and the Adam Keefe testimonial. Obviously, it's something we've been building up to for a long time since it was announced, and well deserved it was. When it was mixed in with the hospice hockey and what happened there, it made the weekend even bigger. When it came to the weekend itself, there was no disappointment there. We had the crowds that came in, the entertainment that was there. It was a really special weekend, mate.
It was lovely to be home, first and foremost, and to be involved in it in some small way. To see two capacity crowds, over 100,000 raised for the charity, which was massive on the first night of it. To see all, like, we're lucky in what we do. Like, we are lucky. Like, from the last 10 years, was it really the 80s season where we really started to get involved more behind the scenes, and you get to make friends with these players that then leave, and when they come back, it's so lovely to see them again. These players are being very influential in our lives. I like seeing the Belfast Atsug, seeing Matt Nickerson, Kevin Surratt, the names go on. I could walk around that, and then the likes of Owen Nolan, who came in after coming every year for 25 years almost, and Bones Benello and Mike Richards, and of course the man of the hour, Adam Keefe. Such a well-deserved accolade. But if we stick with the Friday night, I didn't actually get to see any of the hospice game at all. I was working, so I didn't get to see any of the action. But it was just such fun. I got to hang out with Taff for the whole weekend. Found out that sausage rolls are like 25% of the price they are in Bristol and in Belfast. So had just such a lovely weekend. Forever grateful for being able to be involved in it, and like everyone that came back just spoke of how much things have progressed even since they were there, even just the locker room and the equipment and everything, that the way they were looked after, and they just had such a good time in Belfast. You only have to watch like Garrett Zemlak's Instagram or Facebook. Like he had a ball, came in from Thailand to be a part of it, and there was just so many old faces on him, in that in the greatest of respect. So many faces that have been here before, just they had a ball, and it was so nice. I know Kitchy's rebooted back up here. He'll be able to add as well. But it was such an amazing weekend. And I know I said glibly we raised 100,000 for charity. The work that Simon and Laura and their teams put in to raise that money, like 100,000 is not a small amount of money. It's incredible. And to raise that for the charity is just fantastic. And I hope this is something that Simon mightn't because of the amount of work that had to go in. But I hope this is something that doesn't have to be annual, but something that can be put into the calendar, and you can get these old boys back to play and you know, go for one more ride here in Belfast, and you know, and doing the charity stuff as well. It was so important that this club keeps itself in that space in the city, that it's more than a hockey club. Like, there's not many teams in the country can put themselves in that position where they go and they raise 100 grand for charity. That could have been money raised for the club, and it was all given away. And it's just more part of their elbow, more part of Simon, his team, Steve, Adam, everybody put that weekend on, worked so hard. But we'll come on the testimonial, but like the hospice hockey was just something beautiful. Like,
there was something, Simon, about the hospice hockey as well that was just like the entertainment on the ice was something else. But like, there was the change in speed of the game. You had the pros that came out and they started the first couple of shifts, and then the non-hockey players came out, and the crack that came from that, the laughs that came from that were brilliant. And then they went off, and then the pros came back on, and boom, we're back into a bit of competitiveness. There were so many laughs that took place, and you could see that all involved were really enjoying themselves.
I think that's fair to say. You know, we're, you know, Davy's mentioned me a couple of times there. I only played the small part in it. You know, there was three people that literally put that weekend together: Anne Graham, David Lamont, and Laura. Laura playing a massive part in it, from all aspects of the program. The rest of us chipped in, helped out wherever needed to be done. You know, the whole weekend was absolutely massive success. We had, you know, we were nervous, you know, leading up there, when you can't get people down onto the ice, you know, the likes of the celebrities, you can't get them onto the ice from the end of the season, back in April to 4 days before the event on the Saturday. When you can't get them on the ice, it's really, really difficult. And there were some people that hadn't actually skated for a long time. I'm talking, you know, over 15, 20 years. You know, we were very lucky that they all absolutely loved it. And, you know, if we do it again, they'll be right at the front of the queue. Every one of them wanted to basically do it, you know, jump in and do it again. And you know, I think you sort of get a better perspective of how difficult hockey actually is. You know, a lot of people think, you know, you hear fans shouting, shoot the puck, or you hear fans shouting, you know, you got to skate harder, and they're giving their opinion during the game, and that's all good and well. That's absolutely fine. But when you've got to strap a pair of skates on, put all that equipment on, you've got that wee rubber thing at the end of a long stick to try and control and put it in to pass the guy 6'4" past Petr Cech or Tyler Beskorowany. It's not easy. Doesn't make a difference what level you're at. But you know, the whole event from the Friday night gala dinner at the Harbour Commissioner's office to the sold out event on the Saturday evening for the hockey hospice game, and then leading into Adam's game as well. Everybody that came over, all the ex-players, all the visitors that came over, absolutely loved it. The whole, you know, the Saturday itself was nerve-wracking again for us, because you're sort of hoping that, you know, everybody has fun. Everybody that's paid their hard-earned money to come in has enjoyed the night. You know, from as you say, Paddy, you've got people that are, you know, going on there and going 2 miles an hour, to guys who are 3-on-3, ex-Stanley Cup champions, ex-Olympic gold medalist champions. And, you know, obviously with so many different players who haven't played over the last 15, 20 years for us. And they're all turning up and loving their time back on the ice at the SSE Arena, or the Odyssey as they used to know. It definitely brought a lot of happiness, both within the dressing room and everybody else involved. And it looked like everybody from the fan base involved and loved it as well. But for us to help raise £109,000 by the end of the third period on that night. And there is going to be more money going to him, because we're still doing raffles, which I'll touch on in any other business. We're still doing stuff that's all the money's going to the charity. It couldn't have happened without the people that put the effort into it, but it also couldn't have happened without the support of sponsors and businesses around Belfast who helped with regards to gifts and prizes and auction prizes and sponsorship as well. It couldn't have happened. I don't want to mention one in particular, because I'll forget somebody if I start saying about, thanks to everyone. But the NI Hospice have certainly benefited from all the hard work which we put on at the arena for that weekend. And it's something that, as I say, Davey just mentioned there a minute or so ago, there's probably going to be another one. I mean, when you look at what we did for the Ukraine 2 years ago, I can't remember the exact title for the Ukraine game, but when you look back at the Ukraine, money was raised over to this NI Hospice. And then, down the line, I'm sure we probably will do something else. But the players from the celebrity side had an absolute ball, and every one of them was a delight. I couldn't have anybody say anything negative or bad about any of them. They were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And there was nobody complained in any way, shape, or form. You've got actors there who you might think are a wee bit of a diva or, a bit of an Adonis. There was not one of them that gave us any hassle. They all absolutely loved their time at the SSE Arena that night. And we were delighted to have them and be able to put the event on.
Can you give any celebrity stories? Says, what about the big lad from Game of Thrones? Anything to say about him?
Well, do you know what? There was again, I didn't see it happening because we, to be honest, we didn't get watch an awful lot of what happened. We have talked about it, and I know it was recorded, and we're going to try and sit down and watch it at some point. We just haven't had a minute. We so much to do during the period that obviously the likes of shirt sponsors and the raffles and stuff. You had to get jerseys off people, get them bagged, get them ready to go, hand them out. There was during the game that it was a reason to get a little bit of the third period. But Peter Clough was an absolute star. He's 6'7".
We'll drop he's fallen away again, whatever's happened with his Wi-Fi there. But one of the real highlight, we'll get Sis to come back in a minute once if he can reset it again. But one of the big highlights is there's a lot of nostalgia in there, mate. There's a lot of nostalgia took place. A lot of the players come in and some great chats. Nice seeing Boxy back. We had Boxy on the show before him. Boxy's great in there and some of that. Rob Sandrock seemed to be having a ball coming back in and remembering the old times and being part of that. You and I had a flashback. Yeah, just you and I had a great chat with Sandy and just realizing what this club means to him and what this club and being part of this organization meant to him. And there's so much of that. And then you talk about Sis was talking about some of the celebrities and stuff and the fun they were having. I had a quick chat with Jimmy Lee O'Donnell, obviously from Derry Girls, and asking her about I think the question I said was, "Do you skate much?" She said 3 o'clock today. This is what? She says 3 o'clock today, and then back like 20 years ago when I was I was like, all right. She says, but I had a great time. That she threw herself into it, as a lot of them did, and then you had those games. But one of my other highlights, and I'll throw this one out there to you. It was good to see Gareth Martin score a goal.
I didn't see it, so I'll take your word.
I saw it. Absolutely.
Was that on the Friday night game, the celebrity game?
Yeah, the Saturday night game. It was good to see Marty score a goal. Get opportunity, and also so Sebastian's wee son can see him score a goal at the arena, which is a nice little moment for him.
Brilliant. I am having flashbacks to the game, and I've seen photographs that I'm in that reminded me of stuff. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, why I'm forgetting so much stuff. But I had a picture with Mo and Granny Mo and Rev and Kate and Marty and stuff. And until I seen the photograph a few days later, I didn't remember that it had happened. But like you talk about up in the bar there, with Rob, and like at least 2 of the 3 of us were crying. I'll not say which 2 of the 3 it was that were crying. I was one of them. I can't remember whether you were, if that gives it away who the other one was. But you know, it was quite emotional to catch up with some guys that you haven't seen for years. Yeah, we all knew how much Belfast means and meant to a lot of these guys, but I didn't realize how deeply ingrained it is in some of them, how close to the surface, being almost back. It is a second home to a lot of them. They talk about it in those kind of terms. And some of them bringing their families back. You know, their kids weren't here the last time. Matt Nickerson with his wee boy, with, you know, Steve Saviano's kids were on the ice like hours and hours and hours, just having so much fun. Gary's kids down, Matt Poe's kids down. You know, you see all this next generation kind of players that have came and played here, and then they're bringing their families back on these amazing trips. So it has to be done again, Simon, in some shape or form. But just to see the emotion of the weekend, to be involved in the emotion of the weekend. What was your question, even, Paddy?
I was going to say, what was your highlight? What was your Philip too?
What was my highlight? The weekend.
You says what was your real highlight for the weekend? Says,
I think it's got to be Adam's speech.
Yeah,
to be honest, we all know Adam as being a brilliant leader, a winner. But you know, for saying it it was brilliant to have all his family there, brilliant to have Sheldon there, brilliant to have his sister and his aunties and everything. You know, when you look at Davy's talking about, you know, tears in the eyes, you know, Sheldon was very very emotional over it, and I know Adam was, and the family, and you know, David Clarkson, who is an absolute star. He's just the nicest guy.
Lovely guy.
You know, Clarky was very emotional over the whole thing. And, you know, I don't think people realize the impact of having your number retired, having your jersey retired in the States and Canada is a absolutely huge deal. And while I'm not saying it's not a big deal here, I don't think people realize how much it's actually thought of in North America. And, you know, nobody's ever going to wear number 47 for the Belfast Giants again. And you know, it's one of those ones where, for everything that he's done for the Belfast Giants over the last 14 years, be that on the ice, I was going to say scoring goals, he only got a few, but you know, some big goals he scored, and you know, dropping the gloves for the backup Darryl Lloyd on 53 occasions. You know, I think it's fair to say he probably started 50 of those 53 fights. You know, Adam was everything he said was absolutely nailed on. And it just goes to show how much he cares. I mean, there's still idiots out there that think we should have got rid of Adam Keefe after the year before when we didn't win a trophy. I mean, catch yourself on.
But you get that. You get people who do that sort of thing.
No, I know you do. There's not one of them wouldn't basically take him to another team in the IHL. But I thought he spoke very, very well. In difficult circumstances, you know, it's not easy to speak in front of all those people, especially when you've got all those different emotional thoughts going through your head, and you're thanking your family and your friends and everybody for coming over. And I thought he did very, very well. But the whole weekend, and Davey touched on some of the boys that come over. I mean, I love Boxy. You know, Boxy's it's just one of my favorite people on the planet. I was speaking to him the other day, Darryl Lloyd. You know, when I picked Darryl Lloyd up at the airport that Thursday morning, you know, Lloyder, the first thing he did was, can we go to an off license? You know, I want to get a Guinness, proper Guinness, for driving back up a road. And then Brad Bonnell, who had never met before, who was just an absolute stud. He's so good, so funny. David Clarkson, Owen Nolan, you know, we've mentioned his name how many times in this podcast over the last 20 years, you know, and he got the opportunity to skate at the SSE Arena. So, you know, that was a big deal for Adam, for him to come over and make an appearance. And it was just magical. I think that magical is probably the easiest word I can come up with. That means an awful lot. And it was just so good for Adam to be recognized for all his efforts here, both as a player, a captain, a coach and an all around good person. So yeah, it was great to see, and yeah, we'll wait and see what he's got in stock for this year.
It was an absolutely remarkable weekend. Some superb moments, be it Adam Keefe's penalty shots that seemed to go on and on and on, and then having a pop at Dicko as well. Be it some of the fights that took place straight off the face-off or straight off after the goal, and it was great to see that elbow pad being thrown up in the air again after all these years of watching Adam Keefe be that main man for the Belfast Giants, and then he moved behind the bench and has all the successes that he has. Well, we will.
Sorry for interrupting, Paddy. One of the ones that I thought was just brilliant. Brian, Adam's dad, Sheldon, and Adam all on the benches for the games. I thought that was really, really nice.
Yeah, I think they all really appreciated that. And there were some dry smiles going between the benches as when things were going on. You could just see how much they were all enjoying it. No doubt we'll be talking about this and being part of that. There's so much more that we could go into. But what we're going to do now, boys, the roster's being put together by Adam Keefe, Steve Thornton, and all of the Giants for trying to retain that Elite League title, trying to retain that Challenge Cup, and looking to gain that playoffs in the forthcoming 2025-26 season. We have a rake of names already on the roster, old and new, and it's time to share with you another one that we chatted to earlier on. This guy is an Elite League winner. He is a Challenge Cup winner. He is a playoff winner. He is a British player, and his brother has already played for the Belfast Giants. Sam Jones, welcome to the Belfast Giants, mate. Let's start with the normal sort of question that we get into this: is how does the opportunity come about for you to join the current league champions?
It was kind of an interesting one. My agent had spoken to Kiefer and Steve, quite a few times in the past about me going there. And this last season, I really wanted to give Europe a try and try to make my name for someone as not just another British guy in the league, but be an import somewhere. So I went over there, and when that didn't work out, conversations started fairly early. You look at how many guys stick around in Belfast after they played there for a year. I think that's a pretty good indicator on it's a good place to go. We obviously spend a lot of time there, just in general. And I also want to, after my season in Sheffield there, where we won the Grand Slam, I've got even more of an itch to be on a team that's winning trophies every year. So that made it a pretty easy decision once Steve messaged my agent and said, yeah, we'd like to have him. It was fairly quick from there.
You took this opportunity after the winning the trophies with Sheffield, and you went to Romania. What was that like?
It was interesting. We were in the Hungarian league, so it was kind of when we played in the Erste Liga, it was a decent level. Like a lot of ex-EIHL guys are in there, but there was a bunch of playing wise. It went great. I got a lot of opportunity. I felt like I was gaining a lot more confidence on the puck. You play your role, whichever team you're on, and my role has always been, fifth, sixth D-man, play physical, shut it down, make good plays. But it was nice to be able to go over there and gain a little bit of confidence on the puck and be relied on a little bit more. There was some off-ice stuff. On the ice was going great for me, but there was quite a lot of off-ice stuff going on within that club that made me want to leave, which is why I ended up leaving end of November and went over to Guildford, which was a really good time. I had a really good time there. I have a ton of respect for Dixon down there, and just the entire management treated me really well, getting me in when I was in a place where it was kind of hard to find a spot as a Brit mid-season. So they showed a lot of trust in me, bringing me in even as an extra Brit to play some almost take over over some imports that were within the team, which was which was really good for me. I was out for quite a while with a concussion there, but when I did play, I felt like that confidence kind of came back. So I'm happy I went to Romania, but it was there's definitely some off ice stuff that you wouldn't get in the UK and most other leagues around Europe. That's for sure.
Sam, you've referenced yourself there, the little injury that you took down in Guildford. Must just make it all the more special to be coming back, chomping at the bit to get back into the game.
Yeah, it was a weird season because even when I was in Romania, there was some like contract stuff where like they wouldn't release me, but they wouldn't let me go to the rink, even though I said I'd keep playing till we figured it out. Like there was a lot of contract stuff there. So I sat in Romania for a month before I even got to Guildford. I didn't get on the ice for a month mid-season, which is never happens. So then when I did get back, I played, about a month, and then that injury came on. So last season was, as far as my professional career has gone, has definitely been the most challenging in a lot of ways. I feel like I'm older, more mature now. I had the mental capability to handle it now, whereas in previous years, maybe it would have took a bigger toll on me. But with that being said, like I've just want to come back. I've got something to prove after a year where I had a lot of injuries. I'm training hard and just making sure I'm doing everything I can to be ready and fly at full speed when I get there.
And then there's obviously opportunities here in Belfast. You left Sheffield, but you had opportunities in Sheffield. You played in the Continental Cup. I'm not sure, maybe played in it in Romania as well. But obviously the CHL coming up here is a massive thing to put in your CV.
Yeah, and that was honestly a big draw. Like when I decided I wanted to go to Europe, one of the hardest parts for me was not being able to go and play in that CHL campaign because I did really want to. That is something that I did really want to do. So even though I missed it last year, I'm really happy to get that opportunity again because, like I said, that was the one main thing that was kind of drawing me back to stay in the UK and be back in Sheffield was that CHL campaign. But the fact that I get to do it now is great.
Talk us through this as well, Sam. Obviously, you're classed as a British player, but you grew up and through the system in Canada. Talk us through your career and how that is that you're GB international, but you're classed as a homegrown player.
Yeah, so I was born in the UK. It was when I was 2 years old. We came and visited where I am now in the Rockies near Banff. My parents fell in love with it. They decided they wanted to move over, but it took them 6 years to sell their company when we made that decision. So we were living in the UK till I was 8. They really wanted, I'd never been to a hockey game until we came and visited here. Then we started watching the Telford Tigers because they were our local team. I started playing hockey in the UK from aged 5 to 8. And as soon as that business sold, we moved over. My parents actually got me involved in hockey in the UK because they wanted me to have something in common with the Canadians when I moved over to Canada finally. So it was definitely a blessing in disguise that company didn't sell quite so quick because it means I get to come over here and play for teams as a British player, play for the national team right off the bat without having to do those 2 years in the league as an import. So it was definitely a blessing. I'm thankful that I get to come over here and do things like play for the national team and be a British player in this league.
Because you went. Sorry, Davy. It's just because you went from playing in the system within Canada, within BC, and like that, and then going into Milton Keynes, and then we know you went to Fife, then played the Elite Series and stuff like that. Was it always in your head once you were going through that system in Canada that you wanted to come back to the UK to play?
It was always kind of a nice, I'll say, backup plan. Not in the terms of like this isn't a good level, but when I was trying to go to NCAA and play NCAA and move up, like there's so much, like the junior system in Canada is so just brutal in general. Like you can get traded on a dime. You're not getting paid, but you don't really have any rights. There's no contract signed. So it was always kind of the reason I ended up coming over was I had a really, really just hard year in junior where you're getting lied to by coaches because you don't know what the contracts say, what the rights are. And I just kind of thought like if my goal was to get my schooling paid for, which was the goal with NCAA, obviously to play hockey at a higher level, but the schooling was a big one. It was, I can come over to the UK where at least I know that if I sign a contract, I have rights within that contract. And like you have actually some control over your future. Whereas in Canada, I just felt like my future was determined by maybe where I end up or where I get traded to or, things like that, which I didn't want to leave my future to chance, I guess, which is why I did end up coming to the UK so young. was so that, you know, I could work my way up to the elite league. With that being said, I always had this vision in my head that when I got to pass school, played, you know, trying to play as high level as I could in North America, I always kind of thought I'd love to go to the UK and play, because it's what I grew up. I went to elite league games when I was younger. I went to a few Coventry games when I was younger. So it was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. It came a lot sooner than I expected it to do, if you would have asked me when I was 16, 17. But at the end of the day now, like a lot of the guys that I played junior A in Penticton with Conway and Bast, for example. So I have, a lot of guys have ended up in the same place anyways. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with the route that I choose, and I got to pick where my life headed rather than have it decided for me more.
And before I go on to the question I was going to ask you, you mentioned Scott Conway, or you mentioned Gabe Bast. It must be nice also to be coming into Belfast to have a few friendly faces already in the room.
Yeah, it's nice. And even like Mike Lee was in Penticton the year before I was there. So I like practiced a lot with the team before I actually played with them. So I know, like, don't know him very well, but I know him like a little bit. We went to school together for a year there. And then just like the GB guys, obviously all there. You're welcome, Giants fans, for convincing Brandon Whistle to come over too, because I was on him. I was on him pretty heavily about that. So you're welcome, anyways, for getting that one, helping get that one across the line. So yeah, it's going to be a room where I know about half the guys, anyways. So it's going to be a lot easier transition. And even with my fiance too, she knows if, you know, obviously Brandon's girlfriend and her are very close, so it just makes it a lot easier transition as for both of us. And I obviously know Kiefer as well from our time with GB. He's not done it for a few years, but I had him for 2 years there. So it definitely makes it a lot easier coming in when you know guys and you know the coach.
And it's going to be a room that you're in a lot sooner, maybe, than other summers, because of the CHL campaign camp starts when. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I'm just excited for the CHL. I mean, I could have used another week, but it was kind of nice. I had a longer summer this year just because of I chose not to do GB this year. It was just a tough year mentally for me. I needed a break. So yeah, I've got that longer summer, which is good. I feel great, and I'm ready to get over there for sure.
And when are you coming in?
August 8th, I'm flying in. Yeah, we start camp on Monday the 11th, I believe. So
yeah, it's an early start. It's an early start this year. I guess that's the trials when you join a successful team. It's when you're in the CHL.
Something I'll take. There's no concerns for me there.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, Sam, we're delighted to have you at Belfast. We're delighted to have a chat with you. No doubt we'll chat through the season. Enjoy the remaining weeks of your summer, and no doubt we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to Sam Jones, the latest name on the Belfast Giants roster. First of all, thoughts, says.
I'm going to be honest. It's an upgrade on the defensive unit from last year. Cameron Pine did okay, but I feel it's an upgrade from Cam Pine to Sam Jones. Has a lot more experience in the league, I think it's a really good addition. He mentions Brandon as well, so adding two really good British players is vital, not just for the EIHL, but for the CHL as well. It's I think that he's going to have, and again, what he just mentioned there, coming into a locker room where he knows a lot of people anyway. I think he'll be able to settle a bit quicker. So we've got these guys in here starting to arrive in 2 weeks' time, just over 2 weeks. It's a very, very short summer for us this year, so it's a matter of 2 weeks training camp. We've obviously got 2 home games against Stavanger, the Norwegian team. Here are not going to be any pushovers. They're going to be a good setup. They've got some really good players, and then straight in the CHL. So it's it's a tough ask. But look, at the end of the day, everybody says about the standard of CHL and the teams that we're going to play against. It's going to be really, really tough. But the old Tyler Lace is the same way. So just get stuck in.
It's one of those, Davey, like, we need the homegrown players, we need the Brit cores, we need to have that. That's part of our system, but it's an arms race to find the good ones. It always is an arms race to find the good ones and try to sign up the good ones. We're a team of strength. We're playing in the CHL with the late reigning league champions, and we've gone out there and picked out one of the really, really good ones.
Yeah, look, I think analytically, good skater, very good shot from the blue line. And in terms of the way we play a lot from the blue lines. We'll get the puck down low and get it back up high and go for shots through on goalie. So, from what we know, what we've seen of Sam Jones in the last lot of years, that's a big string to his bow, is how he can get the puck through from the blue line on goal. So, remains to be seen. He's talked himself about where he probably sees himself in that sort of fifth, sixth D-man role, playing 18 minutes, maybe a bit of special teams time or whatever. But the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. Simon said his piece on what he thinks, and as I say, we'll see what happens come when they get. But it's great to have him in. A lot of energy there. It was good to chat to him. He's excited about it, and that's what you need. You need someone that's coming in and a new chapter for him. He's tried Europe, and now he's coming to Belfast. As he's referenced himself, he's coming to win trophies. So let's hope come March, April, May, he's doing just that.
Flying in from the beautiful town of Canmore in Alberta, up in the Rocky Mountains, and he'll be in Belfast in a few weeks. Great to chat to him. Welcome to Sam Jones, to the Belfast Giants that you heard here on A View from the Bridge. Right, let's batter on. And there was a bit of news in the last week or two as well, and maybe one that wasn't so welcome. After 4 years with the Belfast Giants, 2 were in the A, 2 were in the C, and lifting trophies with this great club, having come in from the South Carolina Stingrays. Mark Cooper decided to hang up the skates. Coops, we're sorry to hear it, man.
Oh yeah, no, it was a very tough decision, but that's ready for something new, I guess. But it was toughest decision ever. Belfast and the guys and you guys and everyone involved with the Giants just made it the most special 4 years I could have ever asked for. And appreciate you guys and appreciate all the listeners and everyone supporting me for those 4 years. And it's very tough.
When did the decision get made? Because obviously we've had a really good season this year. You obviously want to go out on a high, and lifting 2 trophies with the Belfast Giants certainly is that high. And then obviously playing in that weekend that we spoke of earlier with regards to Adam Keefe and all of that. But when did you think to yourself, this is it?
I had thoughts about it during the season, but ultimately, like when we won the league there, and then came short in the playoffs. But when we won the league, I was like, yeah, like you said there, go out on a high. Had a pretty good season personally as well, and I think I always wanted to be able to leave the game on my own terms, which I was lucky enough to do that. So very tough decision, but I think couldn't have asked for a better finish to it. And the last 4 years of my career just were extremely incredible.
Coops.
Yeah.
You know me, I cry easy, so I'm going to try and get through this. A statement more than a question, I guess. I remember at the end of your first season saying, don't make sure you come back at the end of your second season, make sure at the end of your third. And I made a point of not seeing you because I was going to cry whenever at the end of last season. I guess I always say, why do I follow the Belfast Giants? And it's about making memories and hanging banners. And you have left a lifetime of memories and you've hung a lot of banners. So I want to say, first of all, thank you for that.
Yeah, it was special.
And it's probably, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for supporting me and being supportive of all of us. And I came to make memories and continue my career. I didn't know how long it would last when I first got to Belfast, but it was incredible. 4 years, it was the best stint, and I think regardless of the trophies and stuff, just the experience of being in Belfast and the people, and then the gravy or the icing on top was those championship banners, like you said there.
I think Sis will probably come on to it as well, but like we talked about the hospice weekend, Adam's testimonial weekend, and I'm not, the older certainly I get, the more it becomes about people. Yeah, and we were really blessed to get to know your mum and dad through this experience as well. And I'm sure Randy and Lillian will be glad to have you back in Canada, but they'll hopefully they'll still be Giants fans.
Oh yeah. I gave my dad a few T-shirts. I don't think he takes them off, so he's fully invested.
Right, Coops. What about the neck? How's the neck going?
I don't know.
Hopefully,
You tell me.
No, it's not as bright as mine yet, but you're getting there.
Yeah. That you're the gold standard. I'll be there.
You're right, kid. You're absolutely right. And what you're talking to, 4 years and you still never beat me at the crossbar challenge.
The one that was coming up. I knew it was coming up.
It's one of those ones where it's we didn't get to do it as much this year because there was more practice in it than Donald, but maybe you'll be able to practice a bit more now.
Yeah. I wanted to give you some accolades too, so that's why. But you're obviously a retired player, so maybe get better in retirement at missing the net, just hitting the crossbar.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'll furnish. You missed an airplane lot as well because you used to hit the safety net above it, for God's sake. With Justin, obviously, you're going to be a massive miss. You already are. But don't obviously see it as much walking about in the arena, and we're missing Guinness and missing Katrina as well.
Yeah.
But when you look at the over the 4 years that you were here, obviously you made it your home. Davey touched on, we sort of, I remember having that conversation with you in the locker room at the playoffs, and you're going on, I'm going to wrap it up. And I remember saying to you that you're an absolute idiot if you wrap up at this point. We missed out on the playoffs that year against Cardiff. But I remember saying to you, look, you're too young. You've still got in your prime, and you come back and give us another 2 years, and that time as captain as well. What did it mean to you to have that C in your chest, and obviously you watched David Goodwin a couple of seasons beforehand lift those trophies from the table off whoever it was, and usually Mike, what do you call it? Mike's surname used to be the referee. He's gone now to
Hicks.
Mike Hicks. What did it mean to you to get the chance to lift both those trophies at the SSE Arena in front of all those fans?
Yeah, I think just as a captain, my first year as a captain, I was didn't get to play a lot. I broke my foot, and it just sucked watching, and that was the longest stint I've been out ever, and it really made me appreciate hockey and just the culture and being around the guys. And I was just so disappointed that I couldn't lift anything for the guys and the city of Belfast that season. So came back, had a great summer last summer, came back with a vengeance, wanted to take that silverware off Sheffield, and we were able to do so. But it was just such an honor being a captain of Belfast. You see all the banners, and then I think on the concourse they have that wall of captains lifting trophies, and you strive to be in that position one day, whether it's a captain or not, just be lifting trophies, and just extra special doing it as a captain, and being able to lead and learn from Goody there, but just lead and then celebrate with the guys. It was just incredible, and everyone had a different storyline and different characteristics to it, and their memories I'll never forget, and stuff I always will reflect on, and just so happy to be a part of it.
A 3-time league champion, 3-time cup champion, and a playoff champion in the time you were here with the Belfast Giants. Coops, what we get to do in this sort of scenario when you've decided to hang up the skates is that we get to talk about how good you actually are and how good you were for the Belfast Giants. You wore that C, and that C was for clutch, because the amount of times, mate, that our good friend, formerly of this parish, Neil, the coach Russell, would quite often on our WhatsApp, when you're putting the puck in the back of the net, would just type MVP. This year we got, as part of what we do here at View from the Bridge, we actually got to award you a very well deserved MVP award for this past season, as voted for by the good people that get involved here and watch this show. We passed it on. I was hoping to get the photograph. Unfortunately, I haven't got the photograph handy, but we were able to award you that well-deserved MVP for the season that's gone by. The amount of times that we've seen you in that left circle take the puck in what we're now deeming to be Mark Cooper's office and put the puck in the back of the net. You've given us incredible amounts of great memories of your time as part of our great club. When you arrived in from the Stingrays, in South Carolina and taking that chance of coming across the Atlantic to play for the Belfast Giants. Did you foresee yourself being here 4 years later?
Not really. I knew I didn't actually have a great season that year with South Carolina, but ended up having a good playoffs. I was injured a bit that year, and it rejuvenated my career. And then coming over really rejuvenated it, and kind of just found some new life in the new setting, new league, new format, and got used to playing for first place and that. But I kind of just was taking it year by year at that point. But I don't know. After that first season, getting a taste of winning trophies and stuff, you want more. And the disappointment losing in the final that year and coming back and winning the treble, and then continuing to kind of want more and continuing to win. It's so fun. And that's kind of why I kept doing it and was able to end it on a high and go out with some great memories. Met some great people in Belfast, all you guys, and some great teammates. So friends for life.
Coops, one memory that jumps up to me from the past season, scoring that goal in the Challenge Cup final against Cardiff there. You were pretty amped when it went in.
Yeah. I don't really celly that often, and I think I got hurt celebrating this year. I forget who it was against, but I jumped into the glass and I tweaked my back, and I was like, I got to be careful. I don't practice this enough. No, but scoring big goals is so fun, and you can see I don't celly often, but on the big ones, it's just natural to do something a little more.
When you think about that moment, frick me, there's bit of goosebumps here actually from back in March. But the importance of those games in September, the importance of the preseason games at the end of August, so getting that through to the new guys, that the opportunity to play the final comes from those hard games in Fife and Dundee and Glasgow in September. These guys that come into this league is new, and it's a different format and stuff, but it's so important to get off, to try and host that final in March.
Yeah, no, it's Kiefer talks about it all the time, but I don't think it's hard to look that far in advance, especially if you haven't experienced it. But no, it's hard, and I think people kind of hate on the Scottish or our division in the Challenge Cup, but the travel, and we play extra 4 games. It's very hard to get that first seed. So it starts from day one and the tone set, and just looking forward to that, but trying to take it game by game it's tough, but we're able to do that. And I think that's a credit to the leadership group, kind of holding guys accountable and telling them this will be special, trust me. And guys listening. And then, but no, the couple challenge or the 3 Challenge Cups at home were insane, and they're unreal memories. And beating Cardiff twice, I guess, is pretty awesome. And then the Fife one was a bit of a blowout, but also a great memory.
What next?
Not sure. Well, I got to get my neck up to your standard, but other than that, not sure. Just kind of rekindling all the connections. Going to try to use my master's degree and find something that I'm motivated in and passionate about, and try to learn a ton and grow my career from the start again. And honestly, playing in Belfast and that format of just, you have to be consistent every day, and I think it'll help me in the long run just be a better human and better employee for whoever's next. But not sure, but I will be back in December, so I'll be coming.
Bring your skates with you.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Referencing December from a guy you'll know well, Kevin Madden. He's often found in the away rinks.
Yeah.
Any chance you'll do a good win?
Oh.
We'll see you after Christmas.
Oh, you never know. Goody's my good friend, and I've actually I had the full court press at the charity weekend there in Keefer's testimonial. So, but I get to try and explore something new, and but hoping I love what I do next. But you never know. But ideally, just try to find my next path.
Are you keeping a toe in the pool, like Coops? Is it you're hoping to stay involved in hockey in some way?
I definitely want to give back. I've talked to some of my minor coaches who are still coaching, and I've actually applied for a job at MLSE. So we'll see if something develops there. But MLSE is who owns the Maple Leafs, so huge Leafs fan, as Kitchie knows. I don't know. I'll definitely give back to the game. I mentor some young kids in Toronto right now that are just starting their university or pro careers too. So I really enjoy that. Give back the knowledge I gained through my 10 years.
Coops, again, I know the boys are going to go on and say about it, but you touched on there, you're trying to be a better person. I don't think that's going to be able to happen, mate, because you're one of the nicest guys that's ever put that uniform on.
Stop it.
It's with Laura and I were talking about it on numerous occasions. You are genuinely missed. You're a good guy. You're just a really, really decent human from great feet. Look at your parents as well. We absolutely loved having Randy and Lillian here over the years. Two of my favorite people on the planet. Your mum still messaging me even at 1 o'clock in the morning when the Leafs games were on, even though we were crap. Still getting these messages from your mum and dad, and you're genuinely missed. And it's only the summer, for God's sake. When you win, I'll go into that locker room in August, and I'll look over to the left hand side, and you're not going to be there. So that's probably when it'll realize that you're not here for the start of the season. So if you don't get a job, just do it, Goody. Just turn up in November. We'll see if we can find you a spot. No doubt, you're always a fit lad, and you'll be ready to go, within 24 hours. But you're genuinely missed here. Thank you for being a Belfast Giant. Thank you for being our leader for the last 2 years. You're just an absolute top lad.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kitchie, for making it feel like home from day one. And then picking me up when we brought Guinness over there, just everything you guys do. Really appreciate it. As I said, I couldn't ask for a better experience and better friends made along the way.
It's not easy getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and going down to Dublin to pick you up at 5:15. So if you do come back again in December, get the later bloody flight, would you?
Yeah, I'll get a private jet. I got so many Aer Lingus.
Yeah, get a PJ.
Yeah,
just get a PJ. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm an Aer Lingus elite member, so they should be hooking it up for me.
Is that Guinness we hear in the background, mate?
Yeah, he's a FedEx guy's out front here. He likes to think he's tough, but he's not.
Yeah. Not like you.
No, fake tough.
Oops, listen. We obviously appreciate you coming on. You've always been very, very good to us here in A View from the Bridge, and giving us all the sort of access and your thoughts, and never shy of giving us a bit of an interview and chatting to us after games and chatting to us as part of what we're doing here on the podcast. So we thank you for that. We appreciate that, but that's a minor part of what you have done for this organization. This is you're one of the great players of this club, and you said it yourself. There's the frieze and the concourse of all the captains that have lifted trophies, and you are one of those. And that's one of the greatest things we can have, and we can thank you for being when you're part of our club. Not just in the years that you weren't the captain and you were MVP in your way all the way through to lifting those trophies, but when you did become captain and you led from the front, and we thank you for that. Whatever you go on to do, mate, no doubt you will be a success at that, and we wish you well with that. Don't be a stranger in Belfast. Come back and see us. Come back and chat to us, and no doubt we will see you at the SSE Arena at some point.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Thank you so much, and I like doing this from the Eastern time zone. I don't have to worry about my bedtime. So
Bedtime.
thanks for
Yeah. You're the only guy we ever let do that, mate. When you and only when you were captain
I appreciate it.
Only when you were captain as well.
Yeah.
Just one last point. I'm just getting messages here from Laura Small. She says you're a good kid.
Oh yeah, no, she's a good kid too.
and one last point, you can't see it here, but the chat console from the side is just lighting up. The amount of people who are just we've got about 1,200 people watching live, and the actual thing is lighting up with the amount of people are saying everything. Thanks, Coops. Somebody give Davy a hug. Thank Mark for everything. So many people come with some great things to say, and that's just testament to who you are and what you mean to this organization. So best of luck, mate, and thanks for everything.
Yeah, thank you guys. Anytime I want to come on, so invite me back.
We will, mate. We will. Take care, Coops.
Yeah. See you guys. Bye. Thank you so much.
There, mate.
Cheers.
Massive thanks to Mark Cooper for taking the time. You all right, Davy?
I don't think I'm okay.
It's okay to not be okay, mate. Okay.
I remember, in closing this out, I remember not that long ago, we always had this thing. Goody was very good at it. That don't come along very often, but a 0 point weekend now and again happened, and it was inevitably David Goodwin when he was captain came along, and then Goody obviously left half a dozen times, came back half a dozen times, but Mark was Coops was captain, and obviously there may have been a 0 point weekend, and he came on, and I remember being on the road somewhere. I cannot remember where it
was. Coventry. It was Coventry. So I remember.
Were you there? And it was a Sunday night, and it was the second night of a double header away somewhere. I think we're maybe in Nottingham on the Saturday, Coventry on the Sunday, or something like that. And Guildford, Coventry, I can't remember what it was. And as he came off the ice with that big smile of his, and he's like, "I'm 4 point weekend." He says, "Get me on the podcast this week," And it was just Simon, Laura, they've all said it. Good kid, no, just one of the best. Just one of the. I'm probably not all right, but I will be eventually.
Says it wasn't just the fact that he was good and his personality and the fact that what he brought in leadership. Some of the goals. When there were times when we needed a goal, Mark Cooper scored that goal.
You can count the games. There's quite a lot of them where he's one of those players where you sort of expect him to step up and get you a big goal when you need one. You sort of say that just jump on the back here. We're going forward. I mean, more on one occasion this year, without seeing his chest and coming off the left wing and driving. I mean, that goal that he scored, he picked the puck up in our own deep in our own zone, skated right the whole way along. Cut in front. I think it was against Sheffield, actually. Cut in front of the defenseman, drove the net, pushed it past the goaltender. That's what leaders do. That's what good players are capable of. And we all know how good a player he was. And we talked about being out there as an injured for nearly 2 months the season before last. And he was missed. You could see how much he was missed. And then when he came back again, he just didn't get up to speed for playoffs, and he was disappointed with that. And then obviously he wanted to come back the following year to prove that wrong, and then stepping up and picking up a trophy for the league and picking up a trophy for the Challenge Cup as well as sort of pacified him for to say that that's enough. And I still think he's too young to retire. I've already told him this, and but he's went out in his terms, and he's definitely going to be missed. It's going to take a big name to step up. And replace Mark Cooper for sure.
I'm just looking at that. Is that the celly you sent me, Davey? The picture of it?
The Challenge Cup final this year, Paddy. When I just thought he was tremendous in that Challenge Cup final as well. Says, I know you'll agree on that. You talk about those big games, and not even big games, big moments in big games. Coops was the guy that, and you've used the term, puts the team on his back. Follow me in the war tonight, lads. I'm going over the top first here. Follow me. And he did that occasion after occasion. He was especially talented on the power play at finding that little space, that little reverse one he did to get the shot away, or whether it was just going in and stopping and then backing up a couple of feet and giving himself space for the one-timer. This guy will be hard to replace, make no doubt about that. But that's why Adam's, done what he's done over the last number of years. He finds those gems, and on and off the ice, Mark Cooper, just a gem.
I'm not surprised there was a full court press to try to get him to come back in and be part of it. But would you say that in the sort of the Adam Keefe coaching era, says Mark Cooper is one of the key players of what we've experienced under Adam Keefe so far?
Without a doubt. We knew what we were getting when he came in. Adam, he does the homework and he speaks to people, and they all said the same thing, that he was a real good guy, and that you talk about, you want good players. Don't make no mistake about it. You want good players, but you want really good people. And if you're a good person, which we're done very, very well, and bringing good people to Belfast over the years. And yes, you get the odd one wrong, but you step in there, and Coops is definitely one of those people. And again, the way he played the game, the way he left everything out on the ice every single game. I don't think you can count too many games where you'd say, oh, I didn't notice Mark Cooper tonight. So there's an awful lot of hockey that he played here that he played hurt. There's a lot of players do it, and Coops was one of them. And you certainly talk about players who want to be 100%, and as the generations of players change, there's a lot of people thinking that they have to be 100% before they step back on the ice again. That's not the way. The hockey players play hurt, the hockey players play injured, and sometimes you might not make the same effect as what you would do if you're feeling 100%. But Coops turned up as if he was 100% every game, and I mean, he's a specimen. Like, he's an absolute tank. A lot of people don't realize that. He just looks like a big 6'2" or 6'1" streak of piss every once in a while. But he's an absolute tank. And again, the only thing he needs to learn is how to hit a crossbar from the blue line. But apart from that, he's grand. I'd rather put the puck in. I was happy with him putting the puck in the net, but when we're having a bit of a laugh there, and he did pay up. I have to admit, he did pay up his £5 British. He tried to get away with €5 at one point. That wasn't happening.
Finally, Davy, in the 25 years of the club and the pantheon of the players that have suited up for the Belfast Giants, where does Mark Cooper sit?
He's up there. He's in a conversation of those. Whenever we talk about great players and great men, and you talk about the captains specifically, because they were the ones that the locker room wanted to lead them. And I guess one of the biggest tributes you could pay Coops is that his peers, the guys that he went to war with every night of the week, wanted him to be their leader. His coach wanted him to be the leader. And then when he became that leader, he then went out on the ice and still stood up to be the best on the ice, to take the hits, to take the fights, to score big goals in big moments in big games. Like, I can't speak highly enough about what he's done for organizations. You only need to look through the Mark Cooper era, if you want to call it that, the 4 seasons, though it's been brief, the success that came along with it. And when times were harder, the season that Sheffield came in and had a little blip and came back up again, the easy thing for Coops to do then would have been to say, hey, I've had a good run, I've won a treble, I've won a league, I've won a cup or whatever, I'll call it a day now. He wanted to come back, and he wanted to right wrongs, and he wanted to lead this team, and he wanted to lift silverware above his head for us, because we can't do it. I'd be forever grateful that he chose our city, and that our city chose him, and he represented it with such passion. That's one thing I'd say about Coop. He wore his heart on his sleeve every night out there. A leader of men, and just a great man.
We all know that the door will never close for Mark Cooper. There's a lot of people already on the chat saying we hope to see him back at some point, be that on the ice or just as somebody being welcomed back to the SSE Arena. No doubt that will happen in one way or another. We send our thanks, as we have done there, to Mark Cooper for joining us once again, and wish him well in his all too early retirement from the game. Right, one more thing to do before we go to a bit of an AOB, gents. Just a quick look at where we sit with regards to the roster. A lot of names that have come back. We've obviously just heard from Sam Jones being the latest name that's been added to that roster for the 25-26 Belfast Giants. With regards to returning players, Bo Hansen, Josh Roach, Scott Conway, David Goodwin, Ben Lake, Kieran Long, JJ Pickenich, all part of it. And joining Jackson Whistle, his brother, Brandon Whistle, has become a Belfast Giants. Alex Gravel or Gravel says, come on, you'll know this.
I think it's Gravel. Haven't actually spoke to him in person yet. But I think it's Gravel.
We'll see if we can get him on, because he comes in between the pipes for the Belfast Giants, coming in from the DEL. But that one that came through just a couple of weeks ago, Davy, was one that was welcomed by all, and it's the signing of Brandon Whistle from Sheffield.
It's been something that has been in the pipeline for over 25 years now. The reunite the brothers that first stepped foot on ice in the Belfast in the SSE Arena. Oh, as the Odyssey it was way back. What are we talking there? That's probably the year 2000, or very early 2001 perhaps. Their dad stood behind the bench. Jackson's obviously played with great aplomb for the club. Now Brandon gets to add his name to a little bit of Giants history. There's been a few sets of brothers have played along the years, but this is another set. And, Brandon adds a lot of depth. Good face-off guy. Can play in most situations. He'll eat ice time when he needs to. He's a talented boy, and really, really looking forward to seeing him getting going.
That's an interesting one. You said a couple of sets of brothers. The Phillips brothers, the Whistle brothers, the Jones brothers now, but at different times.
Okay.
Right. Now we are. This is going to hurt.
Go on, says any brothers you can think of?
Morrison.
Davy and Mark.
Shields.
Colin and David.
Champagne.
Happy birthday, David Shields, by the way.
Champagne.
What? Oh, the Hemingways.
The Hemingways.
Sorry,
Hemingways. That's the Hemingway brothers.
What I meant, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really good.
There's probably more. The Bruce brothers. Remember them?
The Bash brothers.
Bash brothers. Yeah. Paxton and Cruiser, was that, or was that Jason Bourne and Paxton? Can't remember.
But like Brandon, since coming into Sheffield, has really started to make a name for himself. And last season was a pretty good season for him. For the Belfast Giants, we talked earlier on about going in and getting these homegrown players. Brandon Whistle classes as one of those, so he comes in as another top-level homegrown player in our side.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's arguably probably one of the better. He's got better and better every single year that he's been in the IHL for sure. And that's fair play to Sheffield. They've given him that chance. They've taken. He was playing in the second line a lot last year with Sheffield because he earned his ice time, and Aaron Fox trusted him obviously, and I think it was 48 points he earned with over 20 goals and 48 points last year for the Steelers, and as you say, played in all eventualities of the game, both shorthanded and on the power play. So I think it's another great addition. We'll talk about Sam Jones. We've obviously got Kieran Long in there, Scott Conway, Sam Jones, and obviously now Brandon Whistle. And I think it's a really, really good addition to the lineup. And again, coming back to Belfast, he knows the city. He's obviously had Jackson here for a lot of years, and he spent a bit of time in here when he has days off. He's come over and see Jackson over the last few years as well, so he knows what he's about. He knows a few of the boys, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to offer this season for Belfast.
And it is just a nice little narrative, Davy. Like we talked to Dave Whistle on our 500th show there in the last season, and when you think about the history of this club, there's our first coach and his two boys now playing together on the ice where he was our first coach.
There's lots of little symmetries. There's lots of little stories that happen in hockey, probably happen in other sports as well, but I suppose because we're entrenched in hockey, you see them. So little things like this, our first coach has his boys, they're in Belfast, they end up playing for the club. What was Jackson, maybe 2016, maybe his first season, 2017, something like that. And then Brandon coming in now some 25 years later, but
he also got Stu and Mac as well. Obviously, Mac's going to get some time this year with Coventry, but Mac as well. He did very, very well for us. But I think it's a really good move for him. He's going to get his chance over in Coventry. He's going to get ice time, and it would have been another difficult year in here. But bringing Brandon in, it sort of would have. I still believe down the line that Mac's going to end up being a Belfast Giant for years to come. But I think it's a really good idea for him to go and play regular ice time in Coventry, and I wish him the best of luck apart from when he's playing against us.
But that's it. So the Belfast Giants roster is coming piece by piece. Obviously, we're only a number of weeks away from those first games and those games against Stavanger. Can I just say, people just need to calm down a bit. There's a lot of people like going, this player. I've noticed in the chat, this lad's popping up time and time again saying Brandon Jones are great additions, but we need to sign an entire second line. We know. Don't
Who
worry about
Who
it.
said that?
I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Can't read anything. But like, people just need to calm down a little bit because the work has been going. The work has been going on for months and months and months. These players are being signed. These players are signed. Just because you don't know about it yet doesn't mean it's not there. And the Belfast Giants, no doubt, when that puck is dropped in those preseason games and that puck is dropped in the CHL, you're going to have a damn good Belfast Giants squad that are going to be facing up in that, because there is a title to retain, there is a cup to retain, and there's a playoffs to regain when we come to it. Any other business, boys?
I was in Tesco's on Sunday and literally got stopped by a Giants fan, and he was having a go. And he says, "It's absolutely ridiculous. How come we can't get an opportunity here to find out? We should know it straight away when players are signed." I'm going, when do your shopping before you end up getting stuck in the fridge?
I'd love for just that loves just to not announce anybody and just put a team out on the ice.
Listen, we had this conversation, Paddy. We had this conversation in our comms meeting about a month ago, and I said, I know we can't, but can we just go the whole way to training camp without announcing anybody, and then just put everybody out on the ice at the same time? I mean, could you imagine that? For goodness' sake, they just need to just relax. Just in Adam we trust, and Steve we trust. Just relax and don't be worrying about it.
I remember being at a preseason game in the Dundonald International Ice Bowl, and George Watt skating out after having not been announced as a Belfast Giants player that season. So the first time anybody knew George was coming back was when he skated on the ice in the preseason friendly. Very welcome back, by the way, because he was an absolute beast for us. But I'm still here.
Still here. Well. Listen, saw him on the ice at the testimonial that weekend. He's still doing a job.
Oh, here. Right, by the way,
some of those players can still do a job.
Jeff Mason could play in this league.
Huh? Who?
Jeff Mason could play in this league. Absolutely.
Chris Higgins could still play.
Cal Bond. Cal Bond still do a job.
Do you know who could play? Brad Bonello, if he wasn't so smashed up from a career. He can skate.
He can, and so can Clark.
For a guy who played for Edinburgh Capitals.
The amount of times I tried to get, I spoke to David Clarkson. I said to Clark, I said, you always keep on saying you do anything for Adam. Come on over and play in the CHL. He was. I mean, Mike Richards. We had these guys. They don't have to move very quickly because they're just so far ahead of everybody else. Even when you're seeing 3-on-3. It was. I didn't get to watch an awful lot of it, but when you're sitting watching what you can, and you see like Mike Richards has won 2 Stanley Cups, and Owen Nolan's won an Olympic gold medal, so was Mike Richards, and you see these guys just floating past you. I mean, there was one on the Saturday, Paddy. You'd mentioned about the celebrities going, they're getting their shift, they're getting their 90 seconds, and there was one incident where Shan Brooke couldn't get off the ice. She was trying to make her way across the ice, and Mike Richards missed her by millimeters. He was flying. He was absolutely flying, and she just she didn't really know he was coming. But thankfully, there was no contact, because it could have ended up very, very badly. But it was just an absolute joy to watch, and I'm really glad that everybody get through that weekend without incident. But you're right, there's so many guys there that could still turn up and play in this league. I thought he was absolutely brilliant for what I did see it.
So you wrote Shan was a love chat with her. She was lovely. Really, really enjoyed herself. Really, just like as a whole part of it. Really, the experience was something she really enjoyed. And I'll not be thanked for this, but Lauren Martin, Gareth's wife, was fangirling around her as well, having a lovely time. And she was lovely, chatting to everybody like that. And some of the people who were coming up to chat and just really, really personable. One of my other highlights from the weekend, just to touch on it slightly, was the joy on Kyle Bond's face when I explained to him how his name is the name of the Cardiff Arena. Yeah. And so that's the Kyle Bond Arena. And he went, yeah, so Boxy was telling me about this. Explain this to me. So I explained it to him, and he said, do people actually say that? So he went on to Twitter, and so he typed in Kyle Bond Arena, and he's like going, the people actually do say this. I'm going, yeah, but you've left a legacy. You've left a legacy here. He was loving it.
There was, as I was saying, Simon, when you were off rebooting earlier there, I didn't get to see very much of either game. I got to watch the penalty shootout with you actually on the Sunday night, which was a lot of fun. And I saw a couple of minutes here and there, but you talk about it. Owen Nolan, Mike Richards, David Clarkson playing 3-on-3, and they played a shift of about 90 seconds in the ozone, and they never looked down once. They buzzed about. They were flipping passes to each other. They were untouchable.
Yeah.
And done at pace, done without ever once looking. It's like playing football. The grass is always green down there. You don't need to check what color it is. Keep your head up. But like they never had to check where and rimming around the boards, just keeping possession, waiting for the right shot. But what also was really fun, not one of the goalies out of there were happy. The testimonial you sometimes get at 36, 35, and there's no pace to the game or whatever. Those goalies, Petr Cech was delighted to come away with a clean sheet in one, with a shutout in one of the games, buzzing. Zemmer did not want to concede a goal. I think he maybe with a couple of sticks going across crossbars. Deco didn't want to concede in that shootout, and you Besco, who you were hoping there's Adam skating in. Is he going to score the winner here? And Besco's like, no, not on me, you're not. So it was really good fun, and it was good to see the intensity was played with. But yeah, to give my highlight, listen to Adam's speech, seeing 47 go to the rafters. That was, for me, the emotion of that sort of moment was pretty hard to beat.
And I will say, Adam's speech was absolutely excellent, and it was good to see the two both you gents getting mentions for the work that you both did with regard to the whole thing. I know a lot of people got mentioned, and rightly so, most notably Laura and everything she put into that weekend. But I know, Davy, you and Taft put a hell of a shift in over the weekend with regard to the amount of players. We talk about the hockey and the non-hockey players, the amount of players that were on, and you and Taft put in a hell of a shift for that. And says it, we all know the amount of work you do for the organisation and everything. So it's a credit to both of you gents being mentioned of all the ones that were thanked in Adam Keefe's fantastic speech and well deserved. Any other business, gents?
Yeah, we still, as I mentioned earlier on, we still have some raffle price. There's one in the end of tomorrow for a set of jerseys. So if you want to go on and have a chance, there's 20 jerseys in this one. We've only got there's 20 jerseys in this raffle. So you've got one, you've 20 jerseys to basically win. You could win. There's somebody won 2 in the last one. So if you want to go on and stick a pound into it, or give yourself a chance, all that money goes to the charity. And look, I know we've went the same well over the last couple of months for different things for the charity. But this is literally just the last push to get all that stuff out, and we need to have everything in by the end of July. If you want to visit the raffle site, I know we've got it on the Giants socials, so you can pop on there and have a look and click on the button, and it'll take you straight to the page. But yeah, if you could do that, that would be fantastic.
Brilliant. Anything further for you, Davey, before we wrap up?
No, I've got a couple of little raffles I want to do myself after all the hospice stuff's done to raise a little bit of money for another thing. We'll maybe leave that for another day. But
in which case, then we'll start to wrap this show up. Big thanks to Sam Jones, the newest name on that Belfast Giants roster, and of course to the great Mark Cooper for joining us and giving us the opportunity to thank him and say farewell for his time with the Belfast Giants. Big thanks to everybody. We've got some cracking numbers of people who are watching live tonight. This is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much to everybody, especially on that weekend, the number of that testimony weekend, the number of people who were very kind to come up again and just say that they enjoy the show. It's wonderful to hear. We thank you. This show doesn't happen if people aren't willing to watch it, and it's nice that people take the time to do so. So thank you for everybody who's interacting, listening, watching, doing whatever you are to be part of A View from the Bridge. We thank you for that. At AVFTB on Twitter, podcast at kingdomofgiants.com. You can get us at the kingdomofgiants.com website, on YouTube, X, Facebook, all the usual sort of places. Thanks to you two gentlemen. Go on, says you have one thing.
I've just seen a couple of wee messages and there are people asking about the equipment sale. We are trying to organise it. It's just been mental around the arena at the minute. We'll get that out. Taft's away on holiday at the minute. We'll have a chat when he gets back next week. We have to get it done before the start of the season. So it's just a matter of trying to get a date, but it's just been mental at the minute. So again, calm down.
But yeah, and with that, big thanks to everybody. We'll be back, no doubt, in a few weeks' time to talk about the roster as it's been put together. We're looking ahead to those preseason games and the Champions Hockey League. Davey, I'm going to hand it to you. We are actually going to finish on a bit of a sad note, but I'll hand it to you. Big thanks to everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to finish by offering our condolences to Stevie Boucher, one of the commentators from Belfast Giants TV, on the recent passing of his father, Andrew. But we also celebrate a life well lived. Andrew took Stevie to his first Giants game 25 years ago, and there are 25. We talk about the West impact and all. 25 years later, Stevie's massively involved in the club and the commentary and all the things that he does that are so important to help behind the scenes. Andrew, his wife Joyce, father of 3 kids, granddad to 8 more, was obviously left a big will leave a void that these guys will come to terms with over the next while. He was impactful, I've talked to Laura Small times. He's influential, and you can't bury influence. And this guy will live on with the stories. And we just wish, and we pass on our condolences to Stevie at this sad time, and hope that all the good memories that Andrew left him with will sustain them through this difficult period. So, the Andrew Boucher.